Hi there, students. A geek, a freak, or a nerd? What's the difference? Well, one of the problems with the difference between these words is they're all very close. Let's see. I think a geek is typically an enthusiast, somebody with a lot of interest in a particular subject. While a nerd is somebody who masters skills in an academic area. So, for example, a geek is normally could be somebody who collects technical things, who collects memorabilia. And typically, a geek is social, and they enjoy talking about the things that they like. The nerd, on the other hand, is normally very intelligent and has a passion for academic things. The freak, and I think the freak is probably the most negative of these, is someone who is perceived as strange. They're unnormal. The way they behave is strange, or they have really strange interests. So the geek always wants to talk about his interest. The nerd is much more solitary, and they study their activity. Whereas the freak is somebody who's very awkward with people. They're very strange. They don't know how to behave. The geek has very specific hobbies, particularly technological things. A computer geek. The nerd is somebody who understands academic subjects, is always learning, is always learning about academic things. Whereas the freak has very bizarre interests. The geek perhaps has a very wide knowledge about lots of things, whereas the nerd has a very deep knowledge in one specific area. And the freak just doesn't have any focus at all. Okay, so let's see. The geek often wears, for example, a t-shirt with the thing that they're interested in written on it. The nerd is perhaps dressed in a rather sloppy way, carelessly dressed. The nerd isn't really terribly interested in how they dress. I also have the idea of the nerd with glasses. Whereas a freak may dress in a very unconventional, very eccentric style. The geek has the best computer, cutting edge technology. Whereas the nerd uses things that are specialized for their hobby. That they are very specialized things for the things that they are interested in. The freak may or may not think about technology. The freak is not very necessarily interested in it. So let's see, originally a geek was a term for a circus performer, but I think a geek now, it's becoming more and more positive. A geek who knows a lot about a subject is the person to ask if you want an answer to something. The word nerd was first coined in the 1950s. And this is somebody who's always doing intellectual things. They're always, and the nerd is always interested in intellectual things. Whereas the freak is it originally described a circus performer. The man who is 2.75 meters tall, or with the lady with 6 fingers. These are freaks, and the freak is certainly the most negative of these words. So a freak, an enthusiast, a health freak, a computer freak, a fitness freak. Okay, he's a complete health freak. A geek, very intelligent, but not fashionable, not popular. Somebody who knows a lot about a subject, normally intellectual subjects. The nerd is embarrassing. They're not attractive. They're socially awkward. Yeah. He was a real nerd at school. Particularly somebody who knows a lot of facts about a subject, especially about computers. Okay, so the geek, somebody who's obsessively interested in a particular subject. The computer geek, somebody who is deeply into it. Where a freak is a person who is well, it could be somebody who's obsessed, a fitness freak, but normally freak is very abnormal. And then the nerd is intensely intelligent and interested in a specific, maybe technical subject, but the nerd lacks social skills. The nerd is socially awkward. This nerd has difficulty. The nerd is rather obsessive. And is always interested in intellectual things. Okay, so yeah, the kids are always calling him a geek. He's a computer geek who studies the piano. A freak. These glasses make me look like a freak. This guy is a real freak. I'm not some kind of nerd. I'm the king of the nerds. Okay, so a nerd. Formality. I think all of these words I'm going to give them, I think 3.5 in formality, maybe even 4. I think you could use them anywhere except for something very formal, but they are on the more informal side. So, freak, geek and nerd. Bye for now.